All right, Tommy, this is your ball game. You're hosting it, so we are going to let you do it, man.
Perfect. So, well, I hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving break and you got to eat a lot of good food and spend a lot of really good time with your family. And hopefully, jumping back into this week hasn't been too brutal after a break. I know how that can be sometimes. But we, as the CSIA, we wanted to take this opportunity to just kind of talk about the new Listings to Lead program, and kind of what that is, and because we've gotten a lot of questions about it, and then also we need to really up the participation. And this is if you're a CSI certified sweep, this is a huge benefit to your company. And so when we started talking about this, excuse me, who better to have on here than the people that actually built this thing in Taylor and Carter, and the folks that can kind of answer these questions. And so this is just kind of a great opportunity to kind of jump into this thing. So let me give you a little background. So before, the CSIA's search function for homeowners was a good thing, but it had some pretty big deficiencies. Number one, we've got a lot of people that work in different states, that are on state borders, that cross state lines. And the way that Google works, and Taylor and Carter, y'all can jump in here. If I start talking techie and I get out of line, feel free to knock me back into place. But Google won't let you cross state lines with a search function. And so we kind of felt like there was a need. I say this a lot, but my kids watch this movie. It's called Robots. And in this movie, there's kind of a catchphrase, and the guy says, "See a need, fill a need." And so our search function, there was a need there, and so we decided that we were going to fill that need and make it a little bit better, give the company owners that have CSI certified sweeps a little bit more control to kind of narrow it down. Because whereas before it would just be, hey, you can, how big's your search area that you want, and then boom, here's a huge list of all of the people that are CSI certified in that geographic area that you want, minus if it crosses the state line. So this gave us the opportunity for the business owner to say, these are the zip codes that we service, and these are the zip codes that where we want to be found. And so it's an awesome function. I'll let Taylor and Carter kind of dig into the details a little bit more. I can speak for myself. When we set this up, it does not take a tremendous amount of time. That part of that helps. We'll talk a lot about zip codes tonight, because that's what is essentially this is based off of. So when you go in there, in the CSI sent several emails to everybody as far as the setup process, but you'll put your zip codes in there, your company information, your logo, and you can do a bio in there. And if you know your zip codes, it's pretty simple to do. And Carter, if I'm correct, I believe there's also a function inside that system during the setup where you can actually find the zip code that you're looking for if you don't already know it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
I'll show that off when we get to it.
Oh, perfect. So let me jump in here. And so, guys, let's start from the beginning. Okay. So walk me through the process. So you guys, CSI sends an email to me. I get the email that says, hey, set up your listing to leads. Walk me through it. Let's start at the very beginning. What do we need to do? How do we need to do it?
Yeah, absolutely. So let me just share my screen, because we're going to be talking about a lot of different things. And I don't know about you, but it always helps me when I can see what somebody's talking about. So I'm just going to pop my screen up here real quick, and we'll take a look at it together.
While you do that, I'm going to say a couple of things. First thing, if you have a question, please make sure you put your question in the box here. Do comments. Ask questions. If you've had issues, if something's happened, if you've got something that you think you want to ask that we're not covering, make sure that you put it in the comments that we can address it today. That's number one. The second thing is want to make sure that we've had issues with people saying, I have not got my email. So with our clients, I have talked to multiple clients of ours that have said, I'm not getting this email. And what we're finding is the email that is assigned in CSIA may not be the email that's coming to you. So make sure everybody in your office opens the CSIA emails and don't just let them pass by because it's really busy. Because we're finding that people are just not opening the right people aren't opening the emails because it's going to maybe an office manager or somebody that's answering the phones, and it's busy season, and we know that. So those are the two things at the very beginning. Before you can do this, you have to get your email. So please make sure that the email is correct. And if you don't know if it is or not, you need to call the CSIA office. Carter and I don't have that information. That's all in their system. So you've got to call CSIA and verify what email it goes to. All right,
Carter. Once you know that email, then it's real easy. You don't have to go back and look for some. Here's the thing: you don't have to look for that email that was sent to you way back 2 months ago. Okay, that link is invalid now anyway. So the password reset link was only good for 24 hours, and after that, it expired. So you need to get a new one. So I don't want to show you right now. Instead of having to dig through your inbox looking for some mysterious email, I just want to show you how you can really quickly just go take care of this yourself without any trouble at all. So the place you want to go is just search.csia.org/login. Search.csia.org/login. It takes you to this login, and you're like, well, I don't have a login. Nobody sent me a login. Don't worry. This little button down here that says forget password, click it. You're like, how can I forget something that I never knew in the first place? I know. So I could probably make that say something else, but that's what it says. So click it, get here, and then you can reset your password. You'll need to enter in the email address that is on record with CSIA as the company or the organization email address, okay? If there isn't one of those on file, then it's going to resort to your main contact email address for you personally as a CSIA certification holder. But it's better if you know what the company email address is, okay? And it's not going to break anything if you try several of them to see which one of them works, okay? Just stick one in and hit the send password reset email button here. And if it works, great, you got an email. If not, come back and try a different one until you find one that works. If all else fails, you need to talk to the CSIA office, and they'll set you straight. They'll let you know what that email address is that you use, and you'll go, oh my gosh, I created that like 12 years ago. I don't think anybody even checks it, but that's kind of the process. So you'll come in here, you'll enter that email address, and then get this password reset email. Once you get that email, there'll be a link in there that you can click. It'll take you to a page where you can literally change your email, change your password to whatever you want to change it to, whatever you will remember, because that is your login. That's a place where you can go with that email address and the new password that you just created and be able to get in to see your account, and a dashboard that looks like this, which will allow you to manage your listing, to see what the statistics are for, how many appearances you've had in the search results on the website and all of that. So we'll talk more about that as we go. But that's the bare bones thing you need to know. Just go to search.csia.org/login and go from there.
Awesome. That's fantastic. Yeah. So just one thing, Carter, I just wanted to jump in. So the staff at the tech center are here to help. The folks that have built this at Spark Marketer are here to help. Do not hesitate to ask questions. And if you know the guys over at Spark, then I'm repeating myself, but they want feedback. They want this to be really, really good. We're excited about this. I'm really, really excited about this. We're kind of taking this thing, our search function, to the next level, and adding more value for our CSI folks. But it's kind of, this is a situation where you got to put in a little bit of effort on the front end, but the return on that is going to be huge. At least that's what I believe. So, okay. So we went over a couple of things, Carter. So do you want to, well, let me ask you this. If a company or a sweep doesn't do anything, what happens?
Great question. So every company that has a current certified or certification holder on staff, okay, holding one of the 4 certifications, all right, not all the classes, everything else, but the 4 certifications that CSIA has. If you have one that's current, then you should have a listing on the website already. So everybody has a listing. The thing is, because of the big shift that we've made with the new system, using zip codes as the way that your customers can find you, the people who haven't added anything or done anything with their listing, they're only showing up for one zip code, and that's the main zip code from their mailing address, their company address. So it's a real missed opportunity to not go in and add more zip codes to really fill your listing out. And because the more zip codes that you have added, legitimate zip codes that you service, added to your profile, the more times you're going to show up in search results.
Okay, perfect. And so, Carter, I've gotten this question a lot. Why do we use zip codes? Why did we choose to use zip codes?
Yeah, for reasons that you've already mentioned, and we've thought a lot about this because we've gotten a little bit of pushback. Some people are like, I don't have time to get all these zip codes together. I liked it better when it was just a big search radius around my area, and people could choose 20 miles, 50 miles, or whatever around my business address. But we've been playing this game a long time and serving a lot of clients in the chimney industry, and I can't think of too many people who own service businesses that actually live in the area that they service. Especially in the metropolitan areas, a lot of you like to live outside the city limits a little bit in a smaller community, and then your business, and you headquarter your business there, but you serve the big metro area. So a 20-mile radius doesn't really get you the service area that you want. It's more centered around where you are outside of town, and we know people that are located on the coast, which means that half, you're right there on the coast, you draw a big circle around it. That means half the area that map is going to give you as your quote service area is, it's ocean. So, or a mountain or a desert or, a lake or a national forest or whatever it may be. So we've just seen issues like that. The service area map is just not very good. Some people say, yes, I serve that entire area, but there are a few pockets within that area that I don't like to serve because there aren't enough people there that can afford what we do or whatever it is. So it just made sense. The zip code is the smallest common denominator, the language that your customer speaks and that you speak. And quite honestly, I was shocked. I didn't realize how many businesses didn't know what their zip codes were that they served. And I can tell you that just in terms of knowing the zip codes that you serve, there's a heck of a lot more strategic reasons for you in your business to know what those zip codes are than just filling out this listing. Okay, that's the least probably most important thing of reasons to have all those zip codes gathered up and know what they are. There's some real strategic things you can do when you know the zip codes that you serve. So the reason we went with zip codes is it gave you high specificity. You could be available to customers searching their zip code if you wanted to be, or not if you didn't want to be. And the zip code right next door, same thing. I mean, it's just, it's really granular, good control. And I don't know why more directory listings like this don't use the same type tactic.
Yeah.
So real
ahead.
quick, Tommy, when you come to zip codes, another thing, I've talked to a few people that that don't know, and whether we understand why they don't or not doesn't matter. But I will tell you, if you use QuickBooks, if you use any kind of software, you may not know how to pull the zip code, but I guarantee you, whoever does your billing, your books, should know how to pull a zip code report. That is one of the easiest ways to get your zip codes if you don't know it.
Yeah.
So just want to throw that out.
Yeah. And one of the things, here's two good examples, I think, when we talk about zip codes. You know, for us, for Sweeps and Ladders being in Tennessee, dude, 50 miles, you can get out in the middle of nowhere going 50 miles really fast. So the problem for us was that when somebody would go onto the website and they would do a 50-mile search and we would pop up and they call us, and we have to tell them, no, sorry, we don't do that. And then it was, well, but you popped up. And your name came up in the search results. Like, well, you know, we don't service that area. And then there's a Doug and Francis Hesh own a company called All American Chimney in Louisville, Kentucky. And Doug and I were actually talking about this at some point. But Louisville is right on the Kentucky Indiana border, and it was frustrating for him because the way Google is and the way that they do stuff, which makes no sense to me, but obviously it's working for them. They wouldn't pop up in Indiana, and they're right there. I mean, they're on the other side of the river, and so this was an easier way for everybody to kind of manage the areas that they want to serve. And so I think that once everybody kind of gets to that point and understands, okay, this makes a little bit more sense. It allows us as the company to have a little bit more control, or actually total control, over the areas that we show up in our search results. It's a huge advantage to you when you talk about screening your customers and the people that are looking for us. And so, Carter,
yeah,
is there a way when they log in here and they start to kind of build out their profile on here, is there a way for them to, if they don't have a way to run a report in whatever system that they're using, is there still a way for them to find zip codes and get that information?
Absolutely. So we actually linked to one of the tools. I'll show you really quickly what it's like to manage the listing. So once you're in your dashboard, you're just going to click on the Manage Listing button. It's going to take you in to see your company. And I'm using Mason's Chimney here just because they were one that I was looking at the other day, and I had the ability to get into their back end here. So that's why I'm using it. You can manage your company info, your services, add your communities, and I'll go over these sections here if everybody wants me to. I'll show you real quick. We'll back up one screen. There's a tutorial right here where it says watch tutorial. It's a nice little video tutorial that takes you through exactly how to do all these things that you need to do in order to fill out your listing. And it really doesn't take long. I mean, it does take a little time to put your zip codes together. I understand that, but I guarantee you the people who are answering your phones are spending a lot more time than that answering phone calls from people you can't do business with, but they thought you could. So zip codes, you can add a list here. You can add just one and click add, and then add another one and click add, but who wants to do them one at a time? So you can actually add a comma separated list, all right? Super easy to do. Just start typing zip codes, 37203, comma, 37204, comma, 37205, comma, etc. So just like that, then click add, and it'll add that to the list here. It sometimes takes a while, especially if you're doing a lot of them. So if it's sitting there and spinning, you're getting a little whirly thing spinning on your screen, just give it a little bit of time, be patient, because it's actually creating individual records and showing that you service those areas. So it takes some time on the back end, but it's a heck of a lot quicker than having to do them one at a time. So once you've got your list, throw it in there, comma separated values. Don't use tabs, don't use periods, don't use pipes, don't use dashes, don't use spaces, use commas. That's the easiest way. Otherwise, we got to go in and clean some things up, and some of those zip codes might not be attributed to you. But you see this little link here that says use this handy zip code tool. This thing's been around for, I don't know how long, a decade, and it shows. I mean, it's old looking and not real pretty, but it just freaking works. Okay, so I'm going to zoom into the Nashville area, Tommy, so you can help me out here. But every one of these colored little areas is a zip code, right? We get close enough and they start popping up. So if you know your area and you know what you serve, we'll get over a little bit closer toward Franklin here. You can start clicking on these and it'll drop a dot right there in that, and it'll add it to this list, 37069 Franklin, Tennessee. And then you can click one next to it, and then another one next to it, and then another one next to it, and then another one next to it, and just keep going. And you'll see that it's creating a list. What I've seen some people do is just like copy this entire list and then come over here into their listing and just dump that right here. And oops, sorry, it didn't copy. That was something else. Copy. They'll come over here and just paste that whole mess in. Don't do that, because you're gonna it's not gonna work. It's gonna not give you what you think. So we really do just need these zip codes. But from this, you can create a very quick list. Just you can literally double click with your mouse on the number. It highlights. Control C with your keyboard. That copies it. Throw it into a text file, or just jump back over here and drop it in here. You can get this done. It may take you a little bit of time depending on how many zip codes you service. But once it's done, it's done. And then you're going to start showing up in not just a few more, not just dozens more, but like literally the potential for hundreds more searches in your service area because you took the time to do this.
I love this, because the other beautiful thing about it is that this also gives us more control too. So in the busy season, when we're slammed and you don't want to drive 30 miles anymore to service an area, you can actually go into the system and you can remove those zip codes, can you not?
Absolutely. Come right down here, click one to remove it, and it takes it out of the list.
Oh.
And you can go back and add it later.
I love this. A lot more control than what we had before, which is absolutely fantastic. So Carter,
guys, I want to throw something up here, because I want to address, because we do have some people on here that basically have followed the guidelines.
Yeah.
And and they want to talk about opportunities when we do our part. So I just want to make sure that, Jack, if you just stay patient, we're going to walk through this process, but we are going to get to these opportunities. We got your question ahead of time, so we are prepared to answer it. But we've got a lot of people that need to go through this because they have not done this either correctly, or they have not even done it at all. So just hang on.
Absolutely. Yeah. So Carter, let's move through this real quick for those that have questions. So we've hammered on zip codes pretty hard. So why is it so important to add the communities as well?
Yeah, so great question. The zip codes are for the way that we search. That's everybody. A zip code is one of the most standard pieces of information that a consumer has to identify themselves and where they are. Communities, some people talk about a community, as being a really informal name. It's not really even on the books anywhere. It's not incorporated. It's not an area that is recognizable, at least from a legal entity standpoint, but it's like a borough or a neighborhood that everybody understands. It's a subdivision or something like that. Communities are just a way of describing that, so that the people who are searching for you see that you service their area. They recognize themselves in what you've said. But even more importantly than that, it's good for Google to see the communities. So if you come over here to the, let me just preview, I'm going to close a few things here. I'm just going to click down here at the very bottom of the screen. You'll see this preview button on the far right. At any time while you're building your listing and you want to see what it looks like, you just click this preview button and it'll take you over here to see it. You'll see where your logo goes, all the information. And you'll see on this page that you've got your description, your service list, the service certified staff, and then if there were any communities that belonged, and it doesn't look like we have those entered for this particular one. Let me go back and see if that's the case, really. Yeah, so if we added these communities here, then they would be visible on this page down here at the very bottom. And this list here, Google sees that. When Google is crawling the site and seeing these listings, Google sees all those community names, so that when somebody is doing a search in Google, not even on the CSIA website, when they're doing a search on Google, and Jack, this gets to your question about like, what's in it for me? What's the opportunity here if I really take the time and fill out my listing well? This is one of the huge opportunities for you. Google sees that you serve an area called Sevier Park. Well, it's a neighborhood, right? It's just in your area, but Google knows what it is. Google knows where it is. And Google knows that if somebody is going in there and searching for Chimney Sweep Sevier Park, and and they're looking for somebody that serves that area, guess who's going to show up? You're going to show up. This listing is going to show up for them, and they'll immediately see that you take care of people in that area. So this is just another benefit of really taking the time to fill that listing out.
Love it. I love it. Makes sense to me. And listen, I am not tech savvy at all. Taylor and Carter will tell you that. And I was able to skid on here and figure this out. So, Carter, do you want to keep going through this, or do you want to kind of jump into some more questions that I had gotten from some of the folks?
Yeah, I think if we keep going with the questions, we're probably going to end up looking at almost everything here on the listing management side.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So I really didn't have any questions on the company info or services. I mean, those are pretty standard. I would say that, anytime you can get your company info, little snippets about your company and kind of what y'all do, wherever you can put that, do that. And this is just another opportunity to kind of leave another footprint or a fingerprint somewhere out on the internet. So you want to run through that real quick.
Yeah, I mean, just fill it out, right? This is the information on your company, your information of record. Make sure that it's accurate, and make sure that it defines the way that you want your listing to show up. A lot of, like, for example, here, Mason's Chimney Service is actually known by. Let's see. Let me go back one screen here. Sorry, we're gonna one more. I don't have everything open. The actual official company name is Mason's Chimney Service Certified Air Duct Cleaning Inc. Okay, that's a mouthful, and everybody just knows them in their area as Mason's Chimney Service. So when they create their listing, they have the ability, and you didn't have this ability before with the old listing system on CSIA's website, the search system. But now you can just put Mason's Chimney Service, because that's how everybody knows you. If you have a phone number, and this is, maybe a little bit advanced as far as some people's marketing goes, but we have a lot of clients that like to use tracking phone numbers for different listings that are online. They'll use one for Google, they'll use one for Yelp, they'll use one for Angie, they'll use, different ones. And so you have the ability to put a tracking number there if you want to. It doesn't even have to be the official phone number that CSIA has on record for you, because if you want to be able to track what traffic is coming to you here, you can do this. You control this information here if you decide that you want to put information in. If you don't put any information in here, then we just use, in your basic listing, we just use the information that we have on file for you at CSIA. Okay, so just know that. Yeah, real quick. The other thing that I sometimes get some questions about is like, can I toggle some of these things on and off? Absolutely, you can. Again, this is a big benefit for your clients, but it's also a big benefit for Google. They see what services you're offering. So let's say that you're not really doing leak repairs in the winter, and but spring you are. So you can always just click it to toggle it off and then click it to toggle it back on again. And it'll show up in the list or not, depending on the state that it's in. So if it's green with a check mark, you know that it's going to show up in your service listing. The location team, this is another big one. You want to make sure that it's dark blue with a check mark next to it. If it's grayed out or sort of faded blue with a little circle next to it, that means this person is not showing up for some reason on your listing. Maybe they just were let go. Maybe they're no longer with the company. Maybe their certification lapsed or something like that, and you need to just get them off. You can do that right here. Now, we're syncing with the database, so if the certification lapses, they're completely grayed out, and it'll tell you that it's expired. Okay, so you can't even choose them to add them to your listing. If they were on your listing before and they're expired, they're not going to show up in your listing anymore. But you just want to make sure that you come in here and you click to select all of the people associated with your company so that they're showing up on your listing. Last thing, we'll just look at this real quick since we're doing it. This is like where the magic really happens for the entire system, right? It was just a listing up until this point. Now we're getting into the leads part. Now we're getting into the part where you say, I want business out of this. I want opportunities out of this. I want, to get people's contact information so I can do business with them. And this is how you do that. So you'll want to toggle this switch to include the listing in the program and receive interested consumer leads. All right. Your listing is going to be on the program whether you toggle this on or not. It's going to be on the site whether you toggle it or not. But if you want to include it and receive leads, then you want to make sure that this is on. And then you have two different ways that you can get those leads. You can send them to an email address, and then you tell which email address you want to use. And if it's a person in your office, then let it go there. If it's your email address, your personal email address, you can do that, whatever it is that you want it to come to. The other way you can do it is through text message. And I know a lot of the guys running their business from the truck really like having a text message lead, because right there on their phone, they have the ability to call that person then. They don't even have to check their email. It's just a ding, and they can see it and immediately get a hold of that customer. So that's that. Once you've chosen the method and added the either a phone number or an email address here, click update, and you are now going to start receiving leads.
Awesome. Okay. So now we've seen how the sausage is made.
That's right.
And now are we recording this?
Yes.
Okay. So I just wanted to make sure. So if somebody wanted to see this later on, they kind of wanted a step-by-step walkthrough, we'll have this available to them. Getting to Jack's question. So Jack was saying, let's talk about opportunities when we do our part, right? So you want to kind of jump in on that. So we've set it up. We've done everything that we needed to do. Now what? Now what happens? So
there's several different opportunities and advantages that you have when you're participating fully in the system and in the program. We've gone over a couple of them. The fact that this listing will be optimized for Google so that Google can digest it and start showing it in search results for people who are searching on Google for chimney sweeps in your area. So it's brilliant for that. That's a huge opportunity. I mean, to get more face time or more space, more listings, more search results in Google is a big deal. So increasing your opportunities that way through listing your services and your communities, that's big with Google. But then the ability to just know who your leads are, know who you're seeing certain things here, like in this case 108 search appearances out of those. So that means that somebody entered in a zip code and it returned a page with 4 or 5 companies on it, and Masons was one of those companies. They appeared 108 different times for zip code searches on the CSI website. Out of those, their listing was clicked 21 times. So 21 of those those search appearances turned into an actual full page company listing view where they were just looking only at Mason's information. And then out of that, 5 leads. So that's 5 new people that they were introduced to. And, that's pretty cool. So getting information about how well you're doing, like what your search results are, is pretty important for you, so that your marketing becomes even sharper, so that you know what the value of your CSIA participation and having certified technicians working in your business, what that really gives you.
I want to address a couple of things though, real quick. Here's one of the issues that I have, because I'm the person that's going to be going in and optimizing each one of these pages. And here's what's going to happen. If there's not full participation, I mean, right now, what is it? 25% of CSIA certified companies are participating. Is that about right, Carter?
We are currently listings who have enrolled and are receiving leads. We're at 24.2%.
Yeah, that's it. That's the percentages of companies that have actually taken advantage of this right now. So here's what's happening. I mean, when I'm looking at the data, and Carter shares this with me often, I'm just telling you, 70 to 75% of people putting their zip codes in, they're not getting any return. There's nothing coming up that says it's CSIA certified tech.
34% are getting no result in the new system. They're being presented.
That's better than the first one I saw.
Yeah, no, it has gotten better.
Yeah, it's gotten better. So that's good. So my point is, you can optimize it all day long, but if nobody's there to take the business, it's not going to help. I mean, that's the thing that I'm concerned about the most, is I don't want CSIA, you guys, to, lose business because nobody bothers to fill this thing out, and people just abandon it because it just doesn't work. It doesn't bring anybody up in their area. So that's really, really important. The second thing on the local optimization, it will be localized. So you guys, it's very important to put your neighborhoods in, to put the townships in, to put all those things in there, so that we can do some optimization. And I'm hoping to do some training on CSIA this spring coming up, on what you can do yourself to help these listings actually climb higher, with some backlinks and some of those kind of things. So, but I'm probably not going to do it, keep doing it all the time. It's one of those things that if you want to really make it work, pay attention to those emails that you get, pay attention to what we're doing here, and hop on board, because I think it's going to be a really, really good thing down the road.
I completely agree. Completely agree. And so one of the questions we got, which was actually a really, really good question, I thought, and we've actually got some good questions in the comments too that I want to make sure that we get to. But one of the questions was, we would like to hear your thoughts on the launch of this program. Was it successful? What could CSI members have done to help with the launch? So good question, right? So was the launch successful? I think it was. As far as getting the information out, I think that we got the information out, but where the breakdown is that everybody's busy right now, and the input is not getting done. It's not realistic for me or somebody else to go in and enter in the information for Steve Scally and John Caesar up in New Hampshire. I don't know the market. I don't know what they're trying to do. And what we need is, in order to make it more successful and to be a bigger benefit for the CSIA. When I say the CSIA are the men and women that are the certified sweeps. That is who the CSIA is. And if everybody participates, it's going to help everybody else. We all need to be pulling in the same direction. I hate cliches, but in this situation, we really, really do. And in order to make it more effective, and what could CSIA folks do is is, man, let's start pushing this harder. You know, making sure that your friends that are in the industry reach out to them, make sure that they've done this, make sure that they've filled this out. If they need help, have them come back and watch this video, or shoot an email, and we can help walk them through it. But we need to as the people that encompass the CSIA, we got to get more participation. So one of the questions we got, guys, and y'all have to answer this one. So will these listings leak out to Google listings? There you go. Thank you, Taylor. There you go. So what's the answer to this one? What are y'all's thoughts?
I think yes, eventually. There's a couple of things. So when we first got started into the chimney industry, when I was just doing regular searches across the nation, I will tell you CSIA back then came up probably 60 to 70% of the time somewhere on the front page. I will tell you today that is drastically reduced. Now, people will say, well, why is that? Well, there's a couple of things. Search has changed. Search has gone more from a national search. When Google sees that you are searching locally, they're going to give you local results, okay? Which means CSIA isn't local. Make sense? But these listings are local. That's one of the reasons we wanted to do this way, is to make these listings very hyper local, so that when people in your area are actually searching for you locally, that these pages, these listings have an opportunity to come up and be seen by Google. Does that answer that question?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, all I see on mine is Facebook users. So if there's a follow-up question on that, you guys feel free to jump in, guys, gals, feel free to jump in. And there's another question right after that one. Is there a simple way to cross-reference or filter that in reporting?
To see which ones are coming from Google to the CSIA search.
Said yes. Yes.
We're not reporting that in your dashboard to be able to see the source of that. That may be something we can do in the future. It's a complicated part of it. I mean, it can be done, but it's pretty complicated. I've never created a system like this to do that before, but we certainly, can use other tools to do that. And if you work with a marketing company that can use Google Analytics or something in order to track where your traffic is coming from and where leads are coming from, then yeah, you can absolutely be able to do that a little bit better with tools like that.
So I'm going to address this. I only worry that Google will get credit for your work. And I totally understand that, and I appreciate that. The best way to do that is to make sure that you put a tracking phone number on that. You can also track by email. You can set up an alias email that tracks that in your listing, so that if somebody calls you or and I'm really big about tracking, guys. There are, a lot of our clients, we absolutely have them in tracking numbers, and we track where everything comes from, because that way you make better decisions. At the same time, if they go into the page, our hope is if they use the email provided, that we'll actually pick that up, because we're picking it up on our page. And we're looking into some things. I'm hoping to do a couple of things to be able to possibly track the phone numbers. I can't track where they're called, but that they have been called. So we're looking at some things right now to try to do that. Things are getting more and more sophisticated, which is great. At the same time, what I don't want to do is this. I don't want to say, oh, we don't want to do anything if we don't get credit for it because we can't show it's working. I would much rather have it work and then we can back into that and figure out where it comes from if you're getting things.
And to be honest, this 5 leads sent, I know, and I've talked to Masons about this, is that they get for every person who fills out the online form and provides a phone number or an email address on the CSIA website and says, please contact me about your services, probably another, I don't know, 3 times that amount, I think is what we're looking at. Just pick up the phone and call. So that doesn't show in this number, right? But that was a lead that got sent. They just called the phone number in the listing. So believe me, this is not about us taking credit for anything. This is about us killing it for the chimney industry and helping you guys make your phone ring more and show you that CSIA is a worthwhile place to put your money, and that it matters to be certified. So
So
that's
Tommy,
the real goal here.
yeah, and Tommy, I want you to answer this question, because I think what they're asking, and because it's my understanding that this listing to leads comes free with certification. This is just something CSIA does. Is that correct?
That is 100% correct. And let me just say this. Yeah. So I'll speak on behalf of the entire CSI board, and I think Luke Hurley is on here as well, and he's a CSI board member. But we are not interested in getting credit. What we are interested in is providing a greater benefit to the people that encompass who the CSIA, who we are. I said this at homecoming. I had a hero of mine that just recently passed away, and I was a young man. He told me this. He said, don't chase accolades, chase impact. Your accolades will die with you, but your impact will last for forever. The CSI board is in the business of chasing impact, and we want to be as impactful as we possibly can for the people that we serve. And those are the people that make up the CSIA. We see this as a huge benefit to them. We see this as another search function, another place for customers to find them outside of Facebook, outside of their own website, whatever other marketing. This is just another benefit that we can provide to them. And we want to create more impact because, guys and gals, let me tell you something. What we do matters. Our job, it matters. We're important. We are in the prevention business. We educate, we prevent through routine maintenance and inspections, and what we do matters. And so this, we feel like, is an opportunity to get the people that make up the CSIA in front of more people in their community, in the markets that they serve, in a more efficient manner. And we are so excited about this. We're not interested in credit. All we're interested in is creating a bigger benefit to the people that we serve and make an impact. That's what we want to do. So this is a good question. I've got this one a lot.
Yeah, I've seen this one a lot too. What's the average views or leads sent that should be expected? That's a great question, Loretta. It's unfortunately not a clear-cut answer. Every market is different. I mean, the population density of the Northeast, New Jersey, New York, is much different than the population of the Midwest, Ohio or Tennessee, for example. So what, numbers here in New Jersey, Mickleton's a pretty small town, and these numbers are pretty good for what I've seen. Much larger businesses in other communities aren't seeing numbers like this. So there's not a real good way of saying what you should expect to see. But I will say this, that if you want to maximize what you do see, then filling out the profile, adding your zip codes, that's the way you make those numbers bigger. Absolutely.
And one thing that we do, and let me just jump in here real quick. So if there's an area that we do not serve, one of the things that we do here is we direct everybody to this right here. So if somebody calls and they say, hey, I don't serve this area, or, hey, I need a sweeping and inspection here. We have to tell them, I'm sorry, we don't service that area. And they say, well, who do you recommend? We always tell people, go to csia.org, and we send them to this website right here. So that's another way that we as an industry can help each other out, right? So I'm going to send you to this website, and you're going to be able to research that on your own as the homeowner. You'll get a list of results. And so we can all kind of do this together and to kind of continue to build this thing. We're building it, and we need feedback, right? We need what you like, what you don't like, and we can tweak some things. So that's another way that we can do things that'll help.
I use the example a lot of marketing is counterintuitive in one sense. When I was younger, I lived in an area that was experiencing a lot of high growth and subdivision that was building out, and a lot of businesses were just starting to come into this area that used to be nothing but cow pastures out in Texas. And I remember that this main street they built, and they built the street, and there were no businesses on it, and everybody wondered why they built the street. And then the first few businesses showed up. There was McDonald's, and everybody was thrilled that the McDonald's had moved in so close. And then right next door to McDonald's, they started building something else that looked a lot like it was going to be a fast food place. And sure enough, it was. And I thought, as a young kid, why on earth would a company choose to build their restaurant right next to their competitor? That doesn't make any sense to me at all. But, I've been in marketing now, I don't know how many years or decades. And what I've learned is that's the counterintuitiveness of marketing, that you actually want to be visible where all your other competitors are visible. You actually want to create a huge amount of attention around your business. And by showing up where other businesses show up, you're actually doing that. So the real opportunity here with everybody participating is that it's like a rising tide raises all ships. That's what we're going to see, is that the more consumers find CSIA to be valuable in showing them good results for searches, the more they start trusting CSIA, the more they start looking for CSIA certified people to do the work that they need done. And you can see this, it's not just fast food restaurants, all right? I mean, malls were built around that same premise. I mean, why on earth would you go somewhere that had 15 clothing stores? Well, because you wanted to go somewhere that had 15 clothing stores. In case the one didn't have what you needed, you wanted to be able to see what the other ones had, and it made it very convenient for you. And we see this in Amazon.com. That's the whole reason Amazon is successful. There's hardly a product in the world anymore that you cannot find on Amazon.com. It's where every competitor has to be in order to be successful. So that principle of joining forces and being present in a place that's known for having good stuff is really what makes a listing service like this more valuable to you. So it really is beneficial to you to make sure that you're getting other people in your market, in your area, to start filling out their listing. Nothing's worse. Like Tommy said, you get a phone call, somebody says, well, I'd love for you to come out and service me, but I don't think you serve my area. And you go, no, we don't. But let me send you to the CSIA website. But you know that you're the only company in your area that's taken the time so far to fill out all the zip codes, and that they're going to get there and do a zip code search. And guess what? The only company that's going to show up is your company, and you've just told them that you can't serve them, right? So, or whatever, it's frustrating for them because there's not enough people using it yet. So if we all get in there and start using this, we're going to see the traction that we want to see. Google will set up and take notice, and this becomes a really big party for everybody.
Right.
I'm going to put this back up again because Jack gets it. SEO, that search engine optimization with linking to member websites, will improve search results at the national level. And even though another member may not want to participate in this program, his business will benefit from Google exposure associated with the program. At the same time, Jack, I want to say this. It also acts the opposite way. CSIA is a very strong website. When that website is linked back to these individual pages, it will make your local listing stronger as well. It's just the way it works.
Yeah, and not to change the subject.
Go ahead, change the subject.
But no. I just want to hit on something really, really important that we talked about before, how what we do matters, right? We don't just run brushes up a chimney and get the black stuff out of there and then move on. And when we see those numbers that Carter, what was it? 34% are not returning a result, or only 34% are getting a result?
So no result. So people entering zip codes, 34% of those people are getting a message that says, I'm sorry, we don't have any companies who have added their listings yet for this zip code. Would you like to search the old system, the legacy system?
So, and I think that what we need to understand as an industry is, man, that's 34% of the population that's looking for us that we're not helping, that need our help. And we've got to be better for those people. That's the way I look at it. So I just wanted to add that. So it's important, because as this industry grows, and I do believe that it's growing, and that we're in a spot where it's an exciting time to be inside of our industry. Here are 34% of our demographic that want us, that they're not getting us, and so we need to be there for those people because they need us. And so I just wanted to throw that in there. We've kind of run through all the questions that I had. Guys, did you get any more questions that I didn't ask? Were there any other questions, or is there anybody here watching that wants to go over something else or ask more questions? Here we are. Let's. Or hey, listen, give us your feedback right now. Tell us what you want to see.
So we've got a question here that's good. Can we generate a report of recommended zips to be covered, or tell the system to show the nearest market? There are different systems out there that, one may be a little bit better for you than others. Zip code map. So let's see, I think it's this one. This is one that you can use. You can't choose on this map, like you can't drop pins on it, but it's pretty clean and pretty easy to just look at and see what your area is, and then grab all those zip codes into a list. So let's just keep looking here.
So Carter, while you're doing that, one of the things, I'm going to go back to this. Everybody, if you have a system like QuickBooks that you're using, Service Titan, QuickBooks, Smart Service, all of them have a way to pull a zip code report. So if you can pull that zip code report about in that system, that really is one of the best ways to get your zip codes that you service.
And this is something that we do, I maybe with all of our clients, as just a process at the beginning when we start working with them. So I know for a lot of my clients, we just go and grab their, like, just show you real quickly on, let me think of one, English Suite.
Okay, he's asking this differently, Carter. I think we misunderstood him.
Oh,
He said he means if the CSI app to default to the closest zip of mine that's covered. I think that's what that means. If none is covered.
Yeah.
Could it default to the closest one? So if somebody puts it in, and I'm up here in Cottontown, Tennessee, 37048, and I put my zip code in and nobody comes up. So I know that Ashbusters is here, Tommy's here. I know people are close to here. Would they come up as being the closest to that? Is there a way to do that?
No. I like that idea, and maybe something worth looking at to see, it's sort of a hybrid. We go for the exact match first, and if we can't find it, then we show, ones that are nearby. The problem is, though, that there are some problems with that, and I won't elaborate too technical, but I mean, it's an interesting idea though. So, I mean, this is a service area page that's got, zip codes and town names and everything else for your communities. If you had a page like this on your website, it wouldn't take you but 2 shakes to fill out your listing. But there's a lot of other tools too that you can use. You don't have to use the one that we link to in the listing management section under zip codes, but it's there if you want to use it. It's a pretty handy one.
Yeah, and Jeff Simmons just put a comment on here. Hopefully everyone has a way to pull up their most profitable zip codes. That is what you want to enter. Absolutely, Jeff. That's exactly right. And there's if you wanted to pull up, there's plenty of websites out there that'll pull up demographics along with the zip code. Like here's one right here, mapszipcode.com. Type a zip code in there, and it'll pull up the demographics. It'll give you the population, median home value, and this could be a way for you to kind of narrow down, your service area too, and be more profitable. And then Carter, another question: can you send members a report of zips that are not currently covered?
Well, I mean, yeah, we can absolutely generate that report, and it would be a pretty long list, and it would, I don't know that people would take here's the thing: if someone's going to take the time to look through that list, but they're not going to take the time to enter their zip codes, then I don't know what I'm doing.
You need to have a program that can give you the information for your specific customers. So you need to know who your customer is first, right? We could peel a lot of layers back on that onion. Who's your ideal customer? Where are you where do you find those and those sorts of things? Jeff, you're exactly right. And the whole idea with this is that you already have identified where those people are, and you put it into this system, and every time they search, you are getting a lead from your ideal customer. And that's why this was designed. And let me tell you, like I said before, I'm not tech savvy, but I know that Taylor and Carter and all the folks over at Spark have put a ton of work into this. And this was not something that was easy to do. And Carter, correct me if I'm wrong, but you built this thing from scratch, did you not?
Yeah, I was the lead on this, and with our team, and put it together. Yeah, it's been a pretty intense period. I mean, I do think we were successful in the launch, to answer the question from much earlier, but it wasn't without its challenges. And we had some delays right at the last final stretch. My wife was in the hospital, and it was serious, and so there was that kind of stuff going on when we were trying to get this across the finish line. So that by the time we did, we were already entering into the busy season for people up north. So the timing was the thing that it's the biggest challenge that we have in front of us now, and I wish that we had it ready a little bit earlier so that people could have had a little more time to look at this and get this done before going into their busy season. But yeah, I'm proud of it.
You should be. You should be, man. I appreciate you. It was a tremendous. That was a lot of work, and I appreciate all of the effort that you guys have put into it. And here's what I can tell you about Taylor and Carter. They want this to be the best it can possibly be for all of you guys and gals. So give us your feedback. If there's something that you don't like, let us know. Let these guys know. These guys have got thick skin. They understand that you implement now and we perfect it as we go. And they want that feedback. But if we don't get that feedback and we don't get the input and the involvement, then we can't do anything with it. We can't make it better. We can't make it a better value. We can't make it more profitable for you guys. And that's what we want to do. That's what this is for. That's why we've put all this work. I say they have put all of this work into building this thing out. And we need you. We need your involvement, just like everything CSI does. We need people to be involved. We need your voice. We need your thoughts. We need your ideas, and certainly with this as well. So hopefully we can kind of continue the momentum of this and continue to get a little bit more involvement and a little bit more feedback and make this thing as awesome as we possibly can, because it's pretty awesome right now. But I know that Carter and Taylor, there's things that they want to do on the back end. Taylor, you and I were talking about this the other day, and you kind of touched on it a little bit. But we need to have everybody's involvement, so then you can jump in and you can start doing all of that optimization and all of the freaking wizardry that you guys do on the back end to make this thing more effective and pop up more. And then it will help them with their website and their business and search results in Google for them as well. So we need your involvement in that.
Yeah. All the statistics, all the metrics that we're seeing, we're in the beginning stages. It's all very good and looks good right now, but it's only going to get better with more people participating.
And I would really just stress, guys, if y'all know people that are not doing the listings, please encourage them to do that. If they're in your area, because honestly, the whole optimization piece is going to work much, much better the more we get. The more people that get in there and fill these listings out, it's just going to be better. And I'm kind of waiting for us to get into that 50 percentile mark so I can start doing some things. Because literally, I just want to go in and do it one time. And if people trickle in, they're going to be left behind before I go in and do it again and again. So this is because people that have worked with agencies know SEO is an ongoing thing. But I want to try to get as many people the first time around as I possibly can. So please, that's my plea to y'all, is to get other people to get their listings done, because I think it's going to be beneficial for everybody.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Do we have any more questions? Carter, Taylor, anybody out here listening, watching, anything else you guys want to add?
I appreciate that, Jeff and Jack.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, we do. We want this to be, this is the industry we care the most about, and to be able to build something that the entire industry can benefit from. And this is like a dream come true when CSIA wanted us to do this, and so to be able to ground up support the industry this way with a service that not a whole lot of other industries really get to have at a level that can be as good as it can be. And so jumping in like this it's been awesome. It's been an honor, and I can't wait to see where this goes. I don't have any other questions or anything though that I can that haven't been answered.
Yeah, me either. Just kind of echo what you guys have said, and then just speak directly, from the CSIA board, is that, man, we want to be as impactful as we possibly can, and we want everybody's involvement. We need everybody's involvement, because we are all in this thing together, and people need us. We want to help them, and we're going to continue to try and work our rear ends off to provide as much value as we possibly can. But we can't do it without you.
So guys, before you leave us some thumbs up, some likes, some hearts. Do that, because Facebook actually likes that and will help show this and get this up on the group page in the places that need to have. So if you guys could do that, that would be fantastic. I know Mark Stoner gave us one, but if we can get some more thumbs up and likes, that would be awesome. Thank you, Jack. Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate that.
Yep.
And that's the last thing I have to say. That's my marketing thing. Anne-Marie, thank you.
Yeah, and Anne-Marie actually asked a question. If I missed the beginning, where do I go to create my listing real quick? So you were going to go to search.
Yep, search.csia.org/login. All one word, login. search.csia.org/login. That's where you go. And then if you don't already have your login, you don't know what it is, click the forgot password link, and it'll take you to a place where you can use your email address and get an email to reset a password and create your account. So it's real quick and easy to do.
I love it. And thank you to everybody who is on here asking questions. Listen, man, I know everybody's slammed. Everybody's exhausted. So I appreciate everyone's feedback and taking the time to come on here and ask these questions. And you're invested, and I appreciate it. And we will continue working. And man, if somebody has questions, Taylor, Carter, where will this video be?
So I will be, I'm going to download it and send it over to Jonathan, and I'm going to have him post a replay. Okay. So I'll probably have him post a replay over the next few weeks so that there are multiple replays that will come up and it'll be announced. But it should also be on the CSIA Facebook page, the group page, everywhere that this was live today. It should be somewhere on there, though it may be pushed down the page. Okay, perfect. And as usual, if anybody needs anything, I'm always here to help answer questions. Anything CSIA related. As far as this listing to leads, Carter, Taylor, Spark Marketer, CSIA, the office at the tech center, all of those folks, man, they all want to help and make this thing as big and as successful as we possibly can. So, man, I guess if we don't have anything else, man, everybody have a good night, get some rest, and have a big day tomorrow. And I appreciate everybody, and thanks Taylor and Carter for doing this. I know it's late, but we thought it was important, and so I appreciate you guys taking the time to be here.
Thank you, Tommy. I appreciate you putting this together.
Awesome, guys. Well, thank y'all so much. And if you have any questions, let us know. Appreciate y'all.